On this week's NLB, it's the very best of 2013. Movies, video games, comic books, TV shows, novels, everything we can cram into the last NLB of the year, coming right up. Welcome to Newest, Latest, Best. I'm your host, Jeff Cannata, and this is a very special episode. It's our last episode of 2013, and it's going to be an all-best Newest, Latest, Best. I have some friends stopping by to help me talk about the best movies and video games of the year, and then we get into the nitty-gritty of all the other media I could cram into this episode, giving you my best bets for the all 2013 best of episode. So stick around, we got a lot to cover. Back by popular demand, Dan Trachtenberg.
Yeah, all those
overwhelming desire for you to be back on the show. And this is the big, little premature, but end of the year. I don't know anyone, I don't think I know anyone that is a bigger gamer than you. You have become a bigger gamer in the last couple of years than I don't think you even were before that.
Yeah, well, yeah, because now I'm not forced to play things. I only play what I want to play. And I play a lot of it.
You play a lot of it.
Yeah. So, I played a lot of games this year. I mean,
that's
I played a lot of games this year.
You played a lot of games and a lot of those games.
Yeah, yeah. That's an interesting point.
So that's why I'm excited about you telling me what your favorite games of the year are. Because I feel like this year has more legitimate Game of the Year candidates than I can remember in recent years. I mean, there are big and small games that all felt like they were Game of the Year.
Although I think I know yours, but I'm interested
I've
to hear
said
yours.
a number of times in a number of places.
Right, as I have.
But there are, I think my list overall is pretty surprising.
And let me just clarify that a lot of the games that I've spent almost most of this time playing are not games that came out this year.
Right.
I.e. Dark Souls and Warcraft. Yeah.
Right. So those are not even
mentionables.
Right.
Yeah, they're unmentionables.
Let's just start this way and say I think a lot of the games of the year that you're going to see awarded by all the big publications and online, I think you're going to see Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, which I never finished.
Really?
Two games I never finished. PS3 and then PS4 came out. So I never. Or actually, I bought it on Xbox. So. Yeah, my 360's not there.
I finished a GTA game and you didn't? That's so strange.
I mean, because I didn't have to. So I said, what do I want to play today? No, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the difference. In TRS, I would have, maybe I would have loved it, but I didn't have anything saying you must play.
Interesting. Yes. So, suffice to say, it's not going to make your best of list.
No. I'll tell you what else I didn't finish, sadly, though I have my PS3 still hooked up, so I will finish it. I'm halfway through Beyond Two Souls.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, I think you should just muscle through that because
I actually really like it,
it's a short experience and needs to be sort of one experience.
No, I'm like, every day I remind myself, don't forget what happened. You just save people from fire. Like, that's the homeless people.
It's a good ending, too, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So sorry. Yeah.
And then the other one I think you're going to see on a lot of the best of lists is Last of Us.
Yes.
That's on your list. Okay,
I didn't order my list.
Well, I did, but it doesn't matter. We'll just talk about. I mean, I feel like Last of Us would be my top 10, but not in my top 5.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm dying to hear what your top 5 is.
Yeah. Well,
Last of Us could be my number. It's my number 2.
It's a great game. I think that for me, and you can see my Last of Us review on my YouTube channel. I think for me, Last of Us hit great highs in storytelling, and definitely deserves to be in the conversation for Game of the Year, and for digital acting and all these wonderful things. But I felt like the moment to moment, the actual dealing with the clickers and all that stuff, felt like the same thing over and over. And I never felt the thing that I wanted from that experience, which was feeling like a scavenger, feeling like somebody that was always at the end of his rope, not every bullet was precious. I always felt like I had a million bullets.
Everything that you said, I had the exact opposite experience.
Wow.
Because I chose to.
Because you went to hardcore difficulty?
No. But that's a choice. No. And it's a shame that the game this isn't the only way to play the game. Although I read several articles suggesting that you play the game. I barely shot anything. And all I did, which is what I've always wanted, is I just ran away. I felt like I, as a player, had a very one-to-one relationship with that character. I was running away because I read that you can do that. You barely should have to. So I was stealthily sneaking by them, and I got caught. Instead of like having a gun firefight or trying to shiv and do the whatever, I just hauled butt. And especially the, I don't want to spoil anything, but in end sequences, I don't want to spoil anything. But like I really was just running away and terrified and hoping that they don't catch me because I don't have anything, and I made it through. I survived like them. So I really loved the gameplay. I finally don't have to just like stop and shoot things.
So that's definitely in your top games.
Yeah, it's number one if it's tied to number one with other things.
With what?
With Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
is the like braid journey flower of this year. And
it's a beautiful experience. It's a magical. I mean, it's about magic, but it's also about humanity and brotherhood,
fathers and sons, brothers. And as I just said over and over, the thing that I've just become such a believer in is, and this does it better than any game ever, is I, as a player, had a one-to-one experience with what the characters were doing. That twin stick thing, though frustrating when you first do it, it's like I'm literally I'm finding a hard time communicating. I'm finding a hard time, and they are having a hard time communicating. And I'm like, oh wait, and then I have that like, isn't that kind of like how in life me and my brother did? You know, we don't get along. Like I'm having a like profound holy shit moment,
which is communicated to you through interactivity.
Yeah,
and only through interactivity.
Yeah, not through a cutscene.
Right.
Yeah.
Not through dialogue. Not through a story beat. Through. Oh, it is hard for an older brother and a younger brother to get along. Oh, it is hard for me to get him across that lake.
Yes.
You know, like that.
And he has this promise. Yeah. It's interestingly, both Brothers and Last of Us, the younger character has a hard time swimming.
Right.
And you have to carry them.
Right. And they came out really close to each other.
Yeah,
too.
they did.
So that would be my number 4 if I'm ranking.
What was your 5?
My number 5 would be Tomb Raider.
Yeah, that's on my list.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
and I think really that's really the only big AAA giant budget kind of traditionally in the talk for Game of the Year game that made my top 5.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you.
It was a great game. I think it's really underrated, even though it sold really well. I don't know how many people are going to have it in the conversation for Game of the Year, but I think it absolutely deserves it. I loved it.
Yeah, and phenomenal gameplay.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. We both played on our PC. We both
Yes.
didn't see it. So the graphics, what was
I hear they're doing a next-gen version. They're doing a Xbox One, PS4 version.
I hope so, because I would like to play it again.
Yeah.
And I don't want to fire up my PC. Although I played in my living room with HDMI. But anyway, yeah, that was an exciting game. A lot of fun gameplay. A game that, I wish that it was on my Xbox because it was fun to do.
Yeah.
Like it felt good doing it, climbing and traversing, and even the bow mechanics it was all really exciting. It wasn't like monotonous.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Another game that didn't make my top 5, but I kind of wish there was room for it, and I'm curious what you think because you and I played a lot of it together. Path of Exile, which came out for realsies.
Yeah.
And so much fun.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Not in my top. And right after that, I played Diablo 3 on the consoles, which came out this year. I could say that if I wanted to. Yeah, I was just very much in the mood for that kind of game. So that was a lot of fun to play. But I don't know that it did anything that I would consider excellent. Did it?
I just think it did everything
really nice,
very well.
Yeah.
And it creates a great experience.
Yeah, it's true.
Needs
It's
to be
true.
rewarded. Another one. Anything else you want to mention?
Well, yeah, there's Tomb Raider, and then one that I know you're going to mention, so I'll let you mention. Oh, one that I know you will not mention is Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on the Wii U.
Right, you did. You played the crap out. In fact, you talked me into buying that.
No, I said, I don't think you're gonna like it.
Right.
And you said, well, it sounds like you guys are having a great year. And I'm like, I would love for you to do this. I can't wait. And like, let me just tell you some things about it before you do. And you did it anyway.
I did it anyway.
And then I was, okay, now that you did, I embraced it. I said, okay, now this is how we do it. And then you had all the issues that I know you're gonna have these problems. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, I bought a Wii U for. It's the only game I played for the Wii U. I now no longer have a Wii U hooked up. Yet
You should be playing Mario.
I know. I'm happy that I bought the Wii U. That's the accolades I could give this game. That is just, I mean, unless you want, I mean, you probably already play that kind of game if you want to play. And graphically, it's not that great. Just that kind of a game.
You love those combat systems.
I love the challenge of that. It's a very difficult combat system.
Yeah.
And just the carrot on the stick of trying to get a certain piece of gear or whatever through my skill, not through just the next level has that, and everyone who gets the next level gets that. It's purely through my skill and my choice.
Yeah.
I loved. So
my number 3 is kind of a cheat because it didn't actually come out this year, but hundreds of thousands of people are playing it. So I'm putting it on my list anyway. Hearthstone.
Oh, because it's in beta.
It's in beta,
yeah,
technically. It's not actually out,
Great
but
game.
it is pure crack.
That's a good one.
It is crack. It is distilled down exquisite of exactly what I love about card games.
Yeah.
Fast, deep, engrossing,
and none of the shortcomings. None of the issues of like it works so simply. And it needs very little explanation, and all the games that it's very similar to, it's refined.
It's like somebody said, here's Magic the Gathering, which is nearly perfect.
Yeah.
Shave off the edges and make it perfect.
Yeah.
And they went, okay, here's how it would be.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you did it.
Yeah.
You made a nearly perfect thing perfect.
Yeah. It's like Magic has like the 5 C's of a diamond is like cut, whatever, but it's like, it's just color isn't 100% whatever.
Yeah.
And Hearthstone is like, no, that is it's 5 carats sitting on her finger.
So that's my number 3.
It's a great game.
My number 2, I don't think you played, but you really should. Because I don't think you even have the system to play it on. And that's Zelda.
Zelda's Between. I almost bought
Between Worlds,
I almost
yes.
bought it for Pokemon. Zelda.
You should have told me. I bought Pokemon 2 because people talked me into it and I didn't like it.
But I don't
would
have
given
that.
it to you. Oh, you don't have a 3DS.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll get an XL and give you my 3.
All right. All right. Let's do this. Let's kickstart this, guys.
Link Between Worlds is one of the best Zeldas ever, which is saying a lot because every Zelda is awesome, and this is one of the best ones.
Yeah.
It is so well made, beautiful. It like makes you want to play in 3D. I reviewed it on the show. It is an exquisite gaming experience from start to finish. The dungeons, they do such a great job of making you feel smart every time. And it's so much fun.
What about, I'm shocked, because I think I know what your number 1 is. I'm shocked that
Mario would be on that, that top 10 somewhere.
Okay.
But yeah, Mario is excellent. In fact, I played a lot of it over Thanksgiving because my nephews were in town and my nephew walked in here wanting an Xbox One and left wanting a Wii U.
Interesting.
Which is really interesting. Yeah.
You know what's not on either of our lists that will be number 1 on everyone else's list?
BioShock Infinite?
Yeah. And we reviewed that together. And
I know.
Yeah.
And if you would asked me last year, I would have been like, I'm certain it's going to be my game of the year.
Yeah.
But the first half of that game is awesome.
Yeah.
Just that second half.
Yeah. I'm going to mention a game that I know you enjoyed as well. This is not my number 1 by any means, but Knack is one of my favorite game experiences of the year and favorite game experiences, period. Did you talk about it on the show at all?
I did,
okay.
A little bit. I talked about it with Christian, but I know that you love it, and I do too. And I do think it is a game with flaws.
Indeed, deeply flawed.
But it's that more fun than it is good.
Yeah, it really is, and it's refreshing. And I wish Xbox One had a game like this. That like Knack is it's fun to play, and the world is bright, and I want to spend time in it. It's not war, and doesn't look like war. And above and beyond, I'm a man who loves combat systems, and that is just a great combat system. It's just redundant. Not as redundant as Rise that I talked about last week, because the enemies constantly changing you. The AI constantly changes on you. And even though it's a game like Dark Souls of pattern recognition, but because they're throwing different combinations of those enemies, you now have to use your oh yeah, that guy does that, and I have to handle it, but now that, and then you constantly have to be on your toes and think on your toes, your feet, and use your skill, which is very different than a Ratchet and Clank, where it's just fun weapons and you do it, and that's more platforming oriented. There's very little platforming in that.
I think it's more different than Ratchet and Clank than it is similar.
I completely agree.
And I think that I think people would lump them. I would have, before it came out, lumped them together in my head.
Absolutely.
And it's more different than that game.
Yeah, it's only graphically, or tonally is it similar. It really is. It's Dark Souls. More so Dark Souls.
I wish if Dark Souls was as fast as that, I would have more fun.
You're gonna love Dark. Because between that and your #1 game of the year, you basically love Dark Souls. It's just those games are less intimidating at first.
Yeah.
And
but I think that
you just have you have to crest. Anyway, I don't need to talk about Dark Souls anymore.
Well, what is your number? You want me to say what mine is?
Yeah, I don't have a number. Those are just all my favorite games.
Okay.
My number was probably Last of Us or Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
My #1 is Rogue Legacy.
Indeed. Yes.
And I think the thing that it has in common with Knack, if you're comparing games that are similar to Dark Souls, is that both of them are fast.
Yeah.
And I think that that goes a long way in making those challenging things.
You mean fast in the penalty for death? You can just hop right back in there and correct the mistake that was frustrating that happened to you.
Yes, I mean that, and I also mean in the way the combat works is that I don't have to be. There's a patience that's required, but it's not the same kind of patience of draw your sword, lumbering attack.
Not if you're a Dex build. Anyway, go. Yes.
All right. Yeah. But okay, so let me say why Rogue Legacy is for me the best video game experience of the year. I think it is perfect. I think it is a perfectly distilled experience of that Metroidvania / ghouls and ghosts and goblins type thing. The way that you are constantly going into the same levels, but they are always randomized, means that you're not when you are in what is a rogue-like experience, butting your head up against a thing over and over. It's not exactly the same thing that you're butting up your head against. So you're not
just memorizing. Oh, I do that here, and then when you make a mistake, you go, I'm an idiot. I already knew how to do that. Now, remember to do that there. It's not that. It's remember my skills.
Exactly.
Not the map.
And almost every time you die, you get something. You get something out of it. You get a new lineage of your character who has now new powers. You get some gold. You get to spend on something. There's always a feedback of, you died here, but you get something out of it. It's like this negative is turned into a positive. And the pure fun of hacking and slashing, I think that the 16-bit look is really charming. All of it combined to the most addictive experience, that in Hearthstone, the most addictive experience of the year, completely original, perfectly refined, so much fun and whimsical, and the idea of it that you're, this lineage.
You have an ancestor and now that has stereo blindness, now you're playing and it's completely flat, or you see in sepia tone, or whatever.
Or it has flatulence, there's so many smart, fun, silly ideas in it. It made for the best experience I had all year.
And the cool thing about it, too, is to differentiate from what you said about Hearthstone, is Hearthstone took a genre that already had great elements and refined them and made it, as we said, perfect. But Rogue Legacy perfected, but also does a lot new.
Innovative.
Innovative. We
sure.
never did a thing like that. Your next life isn't the same guy over and over again. And yes, Infinity Blade sort of had that where when you die, it's now your next. But it's the same thing. This had, and there was enough, I think, enough combination of randomness and when I level up, I can do this to my castle. That's gonna progress, but I'll never know what kind of ancestor I get to play. That's gonna be completely random. And as you said, the maps are
and
random.
Having the control over. Okay, now I want to lock down the map and make it and really concentrate. And now I've had enough of that. It's just a great experience, and it's so inexpensive. It is a triumph, I think. And kudos to those guys.
Would have been a great Xbox launch title. Xbox One launch title, in the way that Geometry Wars was, and then Resogun, the game that is really simple, seems simple, and graphically, it's an arcade downloadable thing, but it would have been the game that we all, if it hadn't already been
what
out.
I was saying is that
Vita,
it's perfect for Vita. Well, no, it's, I think, next fall.
Oh.
It's a long way off, I think. But it is coming for Vita, and I think it's perfect. It's perfect as a portable game because you can hop in and hop out and get something out of a very quick experience. So.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Those are our favorite, best games of the year for 2013. Next year it seems like it's going to be a big one too. I'm already super excited.
What are we excited for?
Did you hear about the new stuff about Destiny?
No, I just got a letter about it though, like a PR letter, and I didn't read it. Yeah,
it's good. It's gonna be good, and then lots of cool stuff.
Interesting. Oh yeah, of course, 2014. Let's look forward to it, guys.
We're having to shoot our end of the year wrap up a little early this year because the NLB crew is traveling to see their families for the holidays, and I have not seen some of the biggest movie releases of the year yet. I'm very much anticipating some big movies that are happening right here at the end of the year. But that's why I brought in Germain Lussier, who is going to help me. He's from Slash Film, movie expert extraordinaire, friend of the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. Oh, so I'll tell you my favorite movies of the year, but I have big holes in my watching for this year. There's a lot of movies. I haven't seen Nebraska yet, which I really want to.
Neither have I.
Okay.
Everybody
get out of here.
Everybody assholes. The first one you do, it nails me.
Neither of us have seen Wolf of Wall Street yet, which comes out on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure it will be amazing. Martin Scorsese movie.
I've heard that, yes.
I have not seen the new Coen Brothers movie.
I've seen that.
You have seen that?
I have seen the new Hobbit movie.
Oh.
I've seen Spike Jonze's Her.
That my most anticipated movie of the year is Her. And what's the other one that I'm really excited about that's coming out at the end?
Anchorman 2.
Anchorman 2.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Isn't that a big Oscar contender?
So you can include those. You can talk about whatever you like. What are your favorite movies of all 2013?
All right. Well, then one that sticks out for me is Short Term 12.
I haven't seen that either.
It's a small independent film that premiered at South by Southwest and got a little bit of buzz, and it got a couple Independent Spirit Award nominations. And it's just this amazing movie about this guy named Daniel Cretton, whose next movie is going to have like Jennifer Lawrence. So he is like on his way up.
He's doing the third Hunger Games movie.
He's doing the third Hunger Games and fourth Hunger Games movie. No. It's a smaller movie. But yeah, it stars Brie Larson and John Gallagher, who everybody knows from The Newsroom. And it's about a bunch of kids who run a almost foster home. And it's really funny and really like emotional. And it's just like it balances all these tones in a way that you've never seen. Like usually a movie like that, you watch it and you feel really sad. And then there's a laugh in there, it doesn't feel right. Or vice versa. Yeah. And this movie just all feels right. I've never given a 10 out of 10 review, and I gave that one a 10 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah, it is that good.
Wow.
It's not going to get any big Oscar buzz, but that's a movie that in like 5 years, everybody's going to say, oh man, that was one of the better movies of the year. So Short Term 12 is definitely my favorite movie.
Can't wait to see that.
So good. Also comes to mind, you mentioned it, the new Coen Brothers movie, Inside Llewyn Davis, which I saw, we're taping this, I saw it last night. So it's still fresh in my mind. And just thinking about it, I get chills. Because you watch the trailer for it, and it looks like just like this folk music, sort of down-home, grimy movie. And it is that, but it's also quirky, for Coen Brothers funny.
Right.
Like John Goodman has these scenes where he's just blabbing and like farting, and just it is so funny and so poignant and everything. And it is just...
Those guys don't know how to make a bad movie.
No, they don't. And this movie is so good, and at the very end, it's just like, boom, home run, like over the fence. Like it just hits you with this incredible stuff. Oscar Davis is great. Is that his name? I think it's Oscar Davis. He's a newcomer.
Oscar Isaacs.
Oscar Isaacs is the man in the back.
Pipe down, you.
Yes, oh my God. Fantastic. Carey Mulligan, just a great. Justin Timberlake has a small role. Huh. It is so good, and yeah. I mean,
and is Her up there for you as?
It is.
Yeah,
it is. And what's great about Her is, I mean, it is Spike Jonze. It is a Spike Jonze movie that you expect, but Spike Jonze didn't write those movies you think about for him. You know, he didn't write Malkovich or Adaptation. That was Charlie Kaufman.
Right.
This one he wrote. He also wrote Wild Things, but that's based on a book. Anyway, Where the Wild Things Are, not Wild Things. Which I wish he kind of did.
If I would love to see
Spike Jonze Wild Things.
Wild Things.
But Her is Her's a sci-fi movie. People don't really realize that because it's set in a futuristic Los Angeles where you can take the subway to the beach, and and there's a. The computers are just so incredible now that they're artificially intelligent, and people can fall in love with their computers. And it's this real sort of thing. So you have that layer, and then you start thinking about people's capacity to love, and can this computer love? And what do we do if I had a computer girlfriend? How do I have sex with it? And how do I do this? And all these things happen in this movie. And then the only thing with it, why it doesn't strike me like those other two, it's a little bit further down my list eventually, is it has so many great ideas and so many awesome things. It doesn't quite stick the landing. It sort of it leaves the things a little bit muddled, just because I think it's so ambitious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely really.
So where do you place I mean, my list I think is going to get wildly revised as I see all these films throughout the rest of the year. But I definitely have on my top 5 right now Gravity and Captain Phillips.
I like those two.
Which are both, I feel like I tend to lump them together in my mind. They came out close to one another, but also they both gave me this visceral sort of clutching my chair, forgetting to breathe kind of pulse pounding experience, which I think is wonderful big screen entertainment.
Yeah, and those. What's funny about those is that they're both big Hollywood blockbusters in a way. They're not. They're not Lord of the Rings or Superman, but those are big Hollywood stars, big Hollywood movies made by studios. I agree, both of those things. A similar movie that a little smaller, but is everybody's heard of it, 12 Years a Slave. Did you see?
I haven't seen that. There's 2 movies with 12 in the title.
And they were my number 1 and number 2, and then I saw Llewellyn Davis, and now it's in the mix.
I keep meaning to see 12 Years a Slave, but it's sort of like going to see Schindler's List. It's like, I want to go see it, but today,
you have to see it. You have to see it, because it is that exact same experience, but it's real. Well, so Captain Phillips is real. But Captain Phillips is sort of a singular thing. This is more of a, statement on this whole big thing that sort of happened in history.
Yeah.
And just a brutal movie, in the best way. I mean, it's not as uncomfortable as people are saying. People are like, "Oh my God, I could hardly watch it." It's violent, but you know what to expect. You know what to expect, and it takes it a little bit beyond what you expect. It's not really difficult to watch. I would never watch it again, but I think it's an amazing movie. And Chiwetel Ejiofor, I got to learn to say that.
That's pretty good,
especially if he gets into Star Wars movies. He's amazing and has a really good shot at Best Actor.
Yeah. Another movie that I think is up there in contention for my favorite movie of the year so far is Blue Jasmine. I mean, I'm a huge Woody Allen fan anyway, and I think this is one of the best Woody Allen movies in years. And I really hope that what's her name,
Cate
Blanchett is nominated. It's an astounding performance.
Yeah.
She goes through the gamut of life experiences, emotional. It is astounding what she does on screen in that movie.
I like that movie a lot too, and agree. Where a movie that I would counter you with there to see is called Enough Said, and it's James Gandolfini and Julie Louis-Dreyfus, and it's similar in that it's about a sort of 40-something, 50-something. Their lives are kind of they've hit a little relationship snag and they sort of reconnect. Blue Jasmine takes a little bit further, where she's a real sort of tragic character, and the performance is a little better. But this is a really, really funny, poignant movie that I would put near there. I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
I feel like it was sort of marketed as this silly romantic comedy.
It is, but it's also really good. And it was the only movie this year that it's dedicated to James Gandolfini, and it just crushed me at the end of it, and maybe that helped me like it a little.
Well,
bit
it came
more.
out really close to when he passed away as well, so
it's
rough.
Yeah, another small one that's going to be on my list for sure is called Stories We Tell. It's a documentary by Sarah Polley, who was the actress everybody knows from like Go, and she made a documentary about her family and sort of her family history. But as opposed to just being a documentary about her family, she shoots her family like shooting this. And then she shoots the people shooting it of herself.
Oh, interesting.
So it becomes this sort of other commentary on filmmaking and stuff. And then it takes another step further than that, to sort of a spoiler. But it is this incredibly harrowing story, the family story. And then she adds these other layers of narrative and structure that really, really bring it home. And you're just like, wow, I can't believe this girl who was in Go, doing E with whatever, is this incredible filmmaker. And that's a small one that I think it'll be like a best documentary thing.
Well, speaking of documentaries, I remembered what my other most anticipated movie is Tim's Vermeer.
Oh, yeah.
Have you had a chance to see that?
No, but it's 2013, it's 2014 movie.
Oh, I thought it was coming out in December.
Oh, you know what? It's getting a small run. So I have not seen it yet. Yeah, I mean,
I've heard just amazing things about that.
Yeah, totally. It's Penn and Teller.
Yeah,
they're trying to prove that somebody can just fake a painting or something. I haven't seen it. I've been really excited.
Yeah. Any other big?
You know what one that it's gonna be up there for me, and because I think it's one of like the most rewatchable movie of the year is This Is the End.
Really? I had a blast watching it too.
Yeah, I mean it's just and a lot of times that just says a lot.
Yeah.
If if that movie comes out on Blu-ray and you're like, man, I want to own that.
Yeah.
It's like, and then at the end of the, I usually throw like 2 or 3 of those on my list just because those are the movies that I'll revisit the most. Yeah, that movie holds up really, really well. It's really, really funny.
Well, my favorite movie of the year, people know that who've been watching the show, blew me away, and again, a lot of movies to come to see still, but is About Time.
Ooh, okay.
I've adored the experience of watching that movie, and that is one that, like Love Actually, I will probably watch annually in some capacity. I will return to again and again, and I'll get things out of every time I watch it. I just think it's beautiful, heartfelt filmmaking. It speaks to me personally.
Yeah.
And I love movies that use magic or science fiction as a way into talking about something really universal.
Which is why you're going to love Her.
Yes.
But About Time is, for there, I liked it. It sort of was a throwaway for me. I mean, I like,
dare you.
I know, how dare you. I like that the time travel, the trailer is not the movie,
Right.
The time travel is not the point.
Exactly.
And then the girlfriend boyfriend thing isn't even the point. The movie is a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I do like that about it. I think it's definitely underrated. I wouldn't say it's best movie of the year rated, but
You've seen a lot more movies than I have.
I have.
Anything? How about like Prisoners? Is that up there for you?
It was okay. No. Spring Breakers.
Really?
Still, yeah. I mean, that's one that I would knock on wood or whatever this is. That James Franco would do something. Wood. It's not wood. That's a really fun, crazy movie.
Yeah.
It's a movie that you feel really bad for thinking it's fun and crazy, and you're supposed to. And that's the point. And I love that about it. It's very subversive, but also incredibly well made, and it's got a lot of energy to it. And it was really funny. It's like all these like young people on Twitter are like, that's the worst movie I've ever seen. And it's like, yeah, that's the point. We wanted you to think that. The people who made it, Harmony Korine, wanted you to think it was going to be a movie about Selena Gomez in a bikini shooting people, and then he hits you with this is not cool,
right?
And you feel really bad. So that's a smart movie that I really like too. It won't get a lot of play at the end of the year, but it's one that people are going to be talking about for a long time.
That's awesome. It feels like this year is chock full of excellent movies.
Really good.
Is there one for you that stands above? Is it Short Term 12?
It's Short Term 12.
Yeah.
It's Short Term 12. I still need to see Wolf of Wall Street. I've heard nothing but great things.
Right.
And Llewellyn Davis and 12 Years a Slave. I think it's those 3 are the 3 for me right now. That, yeah, it's going to be really tough to narrow it down to 10 movies this year. 2013 was a very, very good
strong
year.
Yeah.
Very strong year.
Awesome.
Yes.
There you have it. My favorite movies and video games of the year with special guests. But what about all that other fun stuff? The best of the rest. Well, here you go. A list of some of my favorite things. TV shows. This had to be the year of Netflix. House of Cards and Orange is the New Black are by far and away my favorite new television shows of 2013. High caliber, great stars, great storytelling. And you got to watch all of them all at once, all on Netflix. It couldn't have been better. I highly recommend, if you haven't watched House of Cards or Orange is the New Black. I was shocked at how funny and charming Orange is the New Black was. I didn't really think of it as a comedy, but there you go. It really was. Both of them excellent shows. Comics. I have to say my favorite new comic book of 2013 has to be Matt Fraction's Sex Criminals. Yes, a book called Sex Criminals. What's it about? Well, it's about a man and woman who realize that when they have an orgasm, they can stop time. How would they use that power? Well, of course, they'd use it to start robbing banks, of course. The first issue of Sex Criminals has to be one of the best first issues of any comic anywhere. After that, it has gotten a little more risque and a little crass, if you ask me, but it's still a lot of fun, and it has so much potential. I can't wait to see where the series goes. If it's a little too crass for you, it's very adult, very R-rated. And if you want to still experience some great Matt Fraction, I highly recommend his Hawkeye run, which is going on in Marvel right now. Novels. Didn't read a lot of the books that came out in 2013, but my favorites are The 10th of December by George Saunders, an amazing short story writer. I was impressed with this collection. His prose is absolutely amazing, but there's a lot of science fiction in here, which is really fun to read and always surprising. Great, great collection. And then Dave Eggers, who wrote one of my favorite books of all time, A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius, His new book, called The Circle, really blew my mind. It is about a fictionalized version of a Google/Facebook company, and the idea of what could happen if we all voluntarily give up our privacy completely, forever. It's a pretty haunting tale, and especially for people that are tied into the internet like I am and like I'm sure you are. This is a really interesting book that'll have you thinking. I couldn't get it out of my head. Really, really interesting book. All right, board games, one of my favorite topics. Unfortunately, board games are hard to wrap up at the end of the year because they're much harder to get your hands on the biggest and best titles as they come out. It's much harder to get these short print run German board games that I'm so excited about. So most of the games that I'm most wanting to play and feel like I will like the most this year, I haven't had a chance to try out yet. Games like Caverna by Uwe Rosenberg, Space Cadets Dice Duel, and the Pathfinder adventure card game. Those games I haven't had a chance to try yet, but I have a feeling I'm going to really love. However, I do know somebody that has tried a new game in 2013, so let's listen to Dan Trachtenberg tell us about the new Firefly board game. So tell me why you like Firefly the board game.
First of all, as a fan of the show, there are so many wonderful details in the game that are referenced to the show. I get to play as Mal, but even as the other, it's not like everyone plays as Mal.
Right.
And the other pilots are pilots that Mal and the crew came across on the show. All the characters that you meet and pick up are oh, that's the guy that shot Jane in Janestown, and that's the, all the planets you remember being mentioned in the show. The pieces, Components, the meeples, whatever.
Right.
The ship is the Firefly class ship. The Alliance cruiser is, the money apparently, the in-game currency was made by the production designer of the show. I want our money to be like this. It's the best. I arguably, I think even you would think it might be some of the best game component of all games. It is just, it feels great. It's amazing looking. I want a game where we just use the money. The theming is so wonderful, but it also makes sense even if you aren't a diehard fan of Firefly, because some of the people that I played with didn't recall the show as much as I had, being a diehard fan. Still understood, like, that's sort of my issue with a lot of board games. I don't quite get why am I doing this? And we have a friend that always, when we play games, has to understand the story of behind everything. Yeah. You know? And I'm kind of similar to him, and this game, everything you do, it makes sense. Oh, I get why. And we're in the outer borderlands, border space, and so the Reavers are here, and they're coming closer to me with every step. And there's always, while it is a bit of a can't do anything, not in my turn game.
Right, you're waiting to do
But the things that you have to do, that you have to accomplish, are that wonderful mix of, oh my God, roll the dice, luck, versus I've got my next 5 moves planned out, and I'm gonna pull this maneuver off, and I can be a bad guy, I can misbehave, which is literally, I'm not just saying that being coy, that's what it's called in the game. You can aim to misbehave in the game.
So it's a pick up and deliver game, right? You're getting goods from one place to another.
That is what you can do. 4 things. You can work. You can buy. So yes, ultimately, I think you always will have to like pick up cargo and deliver it. But you can do that for the Alliance, or you can do that for Niska, those bad guys from the Thing. But when you have like a crew member that has a certain weapon, it's like, first of all, it's the guy in the show who used knives, but if he uses knives, you get all these buffs to these other things that you do. And every game goal changes because there's different stories per game. So if we play 4 hours one night based on this story, the next time we play, it's not like,
it's a different scenario.
How do I perfect that style of gameplay? It's going to be a completely different style of
different
gameplay.
Goal that you're even aiming
exactly,
towards.
Exactly. And they'll come out with expansions and new ones of that.
Yes, they will.
It's just, I mean, I can't wait to play a Star Wars game that interacts this way. I can't wait to play any universe, any game universe that I loved, a Harry Potter, whatever. This made it so much fun and was the perfect integration of the world and just great gameplay. Like, it's the sign of anything that's great. It would be great without that theme, and that theme is great without the game, but, you know, it's peanut butter and chocolate.
Well, there you have it. That is newest, latest, best for 2013. and the end of our first season. I can't be happier with all the people who've been sending in great comments. I really appreciate it. Thank you for making this show possible. 2013 has been an incredible year for me. I got engaged, I got to make this show, and I got to make this show because of all of you. We hope to be back in 2014. That does it for our first season, but I really appreciate all of you watching, and we'll see you again real soon.